All right. Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, thank you for joining us on this cooling Sunday morning in Singapore. I'm not too sure about other part of Malaysia, but in Singapore, there was a heavy downpour in the morning. So it's a very cooling morning and it's so nice to sleep in if possible. Okay, my name is Sean. Okay, and I'm a member of the Malaysia rep office. So today we are at the third segment of our Career Talk series. And the focus today is on the supply chain and logistics. So now, how is this supply chain and logistics? What is this and what do they do? How is it impacting the economy? And with the COVID-19 pandemic causing major disruptions all over the world with multiple national lockdowns, is it true that this industry is really affected, or on the contrary, is thriving in this pandemic? All right. So today we have lined up a series of talks and sharing with the industry experts and alumni, and they will share with you on the insights of this industry and why is it such a fascinating industry to work in. All right, so before we start, so please name yourself, okay, for the students, please name yourself, let's say based on your name and the schools, okay, based on what is stated here. And then if you're not sharing or you're not talking, please mute your mic so that the speaker will not be interrupted. And then turn on your camera if possible, because that will make the speaker feel less lonely and more motivated to do the sharing with you. And be active, ask questions. If you have any question, let us know. You can also share it on the chat box in the Zoom. Okay, please participate actively. And have a coffee or tea with you at your arm length. I know it's a Sunday morning, so please do so. If let's say it takes make your mood better. And definitely the last part is to have fun, okay? Because we want to make sure that you have fun and you have a very fruitful events today and getting insights from all the industry. So with that, we are going to start off on the event flow. So after this, Mr. Peter Chua will do a talk on the logistics and its impact on the economy. That will be till 10:35, and then after that, Mr. Jayden Lim, our alumni, he will be sharing on his internship experience, and then 10:45 we will have a panel discussion on COVID-19. How does it impact the logistics and supply chain industry? And then the last part of this event today will be the corporate sharing by Highly. They are one of the big, major career platform in Malaysia on so-called helping students to find job opportunities. So now, so first up, okay, Peter. Now, he's the managing director of Ignite Trainings and Consultancy Company. More than 25 years of supply chain experience across multiple industries, which he will share more with you later on. And Peter also holds an MBA from the University of Melbourne, and is currently serving on the Training Advisory Committee of the Singapore Logistics Association. So without further ado, Peter, over to you.
All right, thank you. So you guys are all hearing me well, right?
Yes.
Yes, I see myself. Okay. I hope when you see the real person, it looks better than what you've seen on the picture itself. Okay. Few points. First of all, thank you to Sim Global, Sean, and for Janice for inviting me. It's a privilege, so I thank you for that. And the next thing is just to reiterate on what Sean has mentioned. But before I go on to that, so my name is Peter. So you see my name picture. Now you see the real person. I'm also a lecturer with RMIT. And on top of that, I run my own consultancy firm out here in Singapore. Sean mentioned something very interesting earlier. What is the employment trend, right? In the face of the pandemic, what we are all going through, in the face of trade wars, the trade friction between the two big economies, the US and the China, a lot of us are all affected. So what is the employment trend of this field called logistics? And the next two is, I think it's a good advice, turn on your camera. It'd be very nice to be able to see everybody. Yeah. And ask question, right? If you are, and that's the whole idea of this gathering, right? If you have any queries, any doubts, any clarification, ask question, right? You can type into the chat, which is, I think I'll prefer that, type into the chat, and then we'll look at it. If you don't get answered immediately, we will circle back to you. So let me just allow me to just quickly switch over to my slides and we can get things going. Just give me a moment. All right. Okay. Sean, can you just let me know, is the slides coming out?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay, good. So this is what I am going to do today. These are the topics I'll be talking about today to define what is logistics, basically to put us all in the same platform. And then I'm going to move on to talk to you what has logistics got to do with the economy as a whole. What is its impact? And the last two topics would be that of what is a logistical studies, right? If you're interested in pursuing this subject, what is a career in logistics like? Today we have a good panel, right? You have a practitioner, you have Clifford, who is from the who is a vessel operator, one of the largest shipping lines in the world. You have Ben, you have Chiyang, who are basically into the operations of logistics. So you can hear from them how is it like. And later on, you have Brian, who is going to talk a little bit more about the vibrancy of this sector, right? And I can show you this is actually a very vibrant sector by itself. Okay, let's just quickly move on to logistics. So I'm sure when I talk about logistics, you'll be very familiar. All of us, in some way in our life, is into logistics. You run an errand, you run to buy food or buy any sundry goods. In a way, it is a form of logistics, right? You are asked to go pick up some item, maybe from your relatives or from your friends. It's logistics itself. So how then does the commercial world looks into logistics, right? So I have put out two definitions by two international bodies, logistical association, and you'll find that. So rather than I read through, I mean, it's all there, right? You can read, but I just want to highlight a few salient points. First of which is it is a movement of goods, right? Typically in the economic realm, we always talk about goods and services, right? Here we are focusing on goods. Anything that is so goods are basically tangible, something that you can see, you can feel, goods. So it's a movement of goods. Next point is logistics is all about transferring movement activities from point A to point B to point C, from the origin to the destination. It has got a lot of movement, transferring, so to speak. Obviously, all these activities that we get into, at the end of the day, is all about value adding. So why do something where there's no value, right? The reason you are moving from point A to B, maybe in a more practical term, the reason you are moving from a manufacturer to the warehouse is because you need to value add to the whole process. You need to clear off from the manufacturing base and store it in a proper manner or pack it in a correct manner. And this is where the definition comes in, right? All the 7 right product, right quantity, right time, right? And later on, you talk about the art and science of obtaining, producing, and distributing material. So all this, that's a basic definition of logistics. To movement of goods in an efficient and effective manner. So when we're talking about commercial world, right, it's all back to dollar and cents. It's all back to satisfying the customer. So I think so I'm going to move on now to my next point. So the question is, so what if a logistician, right, people who are involved in logistics were to do all this, how does it impact the economy as a whole? I think the best way to address this is perhaps to look back into history, see its evolution over the years, and then think about what logistics is all about. And that's my next slides, right? Here, I want to submit to your thinking, to your consideration, that logistics is very much interrelated with the economics, the trade policy, and the technology. So I'm going to illustrate this by the next 4 points here. First, the Silk Road, and then the East-West Sea Route, the European colonization, the globalization that comes about just as recent time. All right, so we all know about the Silk Road, right? It's been around for a long time. In fact, as far back as perhaps BC 300, and it was the main trading activities. Obviously, when it started off in the earlier years, it's not that whole span. Maybe certain countries between the CIS Republic, what we used to call it, right? The Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and so forth. And gradually, it grows to become a main trading route between the Roman Empire that we all know about and that of the Chinese. Right? We're talking about a distance of perhaps let me just get my distance correct. We're talking about a distance of perhaps 6,400 kilometers, or it could be as long as 22,000, 3-4 times that of, right? In those days, Xi'an, which is somewhere in the western frontier of China, was the main trading post, right? That's like the last city, Chinese city, before it get linked up with the Romans Empire, which is present-day Europe. And that's about like 6,400 kilometers. And if the traders are daring, they might want to bypass Xi'an, right? They can go all the way further east into perhaps in places like Hangzhou or in Nanjing, right? So they bypass. So Xi'an becomes like a holding post, trading center. So they can bypass that. Traders can go all the way out to the east. If they are even more daring, they can come all the way down into the Southeast Asian countries. Right? So we're talking about so this trade route has been around for a longest of time, up to something like the 13th century. So how do you think people conduct trade in those days? It's a long journey. It's arduous. A certain part of the journey, you are traveling through a desert, very unhospitable. You use camel, and obviously it takes a long time. On top of that, a lot of danger, right? But the returns are high. So that's the Silk Road. Later on, we have the next movement. And that is when the Arabs starts to come in with what is known today as the East-West Sea Route. This happens sometimes in the 11th, 12th, 13th century. Here it's no longer the Romans. The glory days of the Romans has passed, and now you have the Italian, the Venetian. So this is Venice, right? The Arabs were able to cut short this. The whole idea is that you want to cut short the journey, right? The Arabs were able to do that, and they were trading then with the Italians. So the center of commerce actually changed. The medium of transport now is the Arabian dhow, which is the vessel. So they go by the coastal side of, so they hug by the coast across the Indian Ocean into Southeast Asian countries, right? Southern Asia, and moving up into China. Some will venture further into different parts of Indonesia. Here, the mode of transport, as I've mentioned, is sea. Things have changed. The long duration, the long distance to travel is cut down. Now, not so bad. You have a boat, you can sail the boat, let the wind do its job, right? So in a way, you see that technologically, we have advanced, right? Human race has advanced. It brings about a different trade route. Unfortunately, sometime in the 14th century, you have heard of this Ottoman Empire, right? So there was war. The Ottomans were actually conquering. They were fighting for the piece of land. And so this entire sea route is disappeared because of all this war that's going on. And it's about this time that the Europeans comes in. So now, first, the Europeans who have been looking at their neighbor and they say that, wow, the Romans, then the Italians, the Venetian. What can we do? So Spanish, the French, the Englishman starts to ponder through. And for them, in those days, it might not be so easy because there is only, it's almost like a landlock, right? So the next technology that comes in is you have bigger vessel. So the European comes in with their ocean-going vessel, right? So this is a time where you have the likes of Christopher Columbus and all these well-known sailors, right? They do it in another way. They actually go via Africa, and thereafter link up with Indian Ocean, and then it comes down into southern China, back to China, almost the same sea route. But along with this, you see that the entire economic climate starts to change, right? Now, the medium is still sea vessel, but traders has got to live off what we call trade winds, right? So certain time of the year, you have the northeast monsoon, the southwest monsoon. So to do a sailing, still quite a long time, but not as arduous as that of the Silk Route, where you are traveling on camel by foot across the desert, right? Still challenging, but the returns are enormous, right? So if you look at historical records, some people, you'll be written that sometimes the profit margin can be as much as 1,000%. So imagine you buy $1, and by the time after maybe a year, when you return back into Europe, provided you return to Europe safe and sound, you can sell for $1,000. The goods is worth $1,000. So from an economical perspective, huge return, makes sense, right? You will understand that the trade policies of all these countries needs to change, right? They need to basically embrace trade as it is. All right. So another point to take note is having heard all this, then you will realize that places like Malacca, Penang, Singapore, for example, or even in Vietnam, this is the reason why over the years, right, we have a good mixture of, so you have the Peranakan, how they come about, and then the European comes with a different idea. They want to basically colonize. They are in another way you can say is land grab, right? Everybody wants to have a piece of the action. They want to own it. So you have the English who is out here. You have the Dutch who basically wants Indonesia. You have the French who is basically into Indochina, Vietnam, Cambodia, for example. So that's our history, right? And that's how things comes about. All this goes back to trade policy and the technology. So let's go back to a more present day. So sometime in the 1900s, turn of the century, 20th century, there's this thing called aeroplanes that come about. Advancement in technology. Now with aeroplane, things are even better, right? Don't have to walk, don't have to sail. You can fly. But flying will take a much shorter time. Could be a little bit more expensive, but it could be compensated by the amount of time, right? So now it's no longer the sea. People are talking about airspace. If you fly over my country, I have a right. Right? The country has a certain airspace to look after it. And with that, we see the beginning of globalization. It's also about this time that country starts to realize that, hey, after World War I, World War II, countries decided that, hey, let's not fight. Primarily, this is in the West. Let's not fight. What's the point of fighting, right? We should grow our trade to bind us closer together, to bring about peace. And this is where we see the effect of globalization. Again, if you look back, it has all got to do with logistics. Somehow, goods must be able to flow in the right time, the right quantity at the right place, all the rights, the 7 rights, right? Before you see the trade flourishing, right? Economics getting better. So today, the global logistics market is worth about 6.5 US trillion. Compare that against that of the global export value of trade. It's about 30%, right? Just about there, plus minus. But the interesting point is this: as long as there's trade, there's logistics. So you tell me, at any time of world's event, has there not been any trade? Even at a pandemic like this, we need to move vaccines, right? Food needs to be moved about, right? There are still requirements. So as long as there's trade, as long as there are movement of goods, logistics is involved, right? And that's why we say that it is actually a very vibrant industry to be in, right? So I want to move on quickly and tell you a little bit more about present day logistics, how broad and how wide it is. Let's start off first with things that we are very familiar with. E-commerce, which I'm sure all of us are involved in some way now. Retail trade, who has been around for a long time. Your food, your frozen, your food, your seafood, etc., etc. Right? So these are the e-commerce and retail trade. Some people will call this last mile delivery. And again, at this point in time, if you have any question, please feel free to go into the chat, type your question, and we'll address it as we go along. Next is what I call a run of the mill. That means very common, usual logistics. People move goods today with containerized vessel, with pallets or air freight, right? So these are the 2 main modes of transportation today, right? So these are the containerized shipment. Probably about maybe 80-85% of the world trades currently move in this form, the containerized shipment. Others, temperature sensitive cargoes. Well, your COVID-19 vaccine, right, is an example, right? All this so-called temperature sensitive. Your seafood is another good example, right? Your meat, if it's already cut up, butchered, right? So all this has got a certain requirement. So these are the temperature sensitive cargoes. It's still cargoes. It is still a form of goods, but it needs a different set of attention. It needs a different form of packaging, quite unlike the normal goods, right? Others, this class are all the dangerous and hazardous goods, right? Explosive is one of them. Toxic infectious substance like pathogens, for example, is another form of dangerous goods. Obviously, you have the others like flammable gas, flammable substances, for example, or corrosive. So all these are dangerous goods. It's another form of logistics. So this is just to outline to you, right, how broad, how wide logistics is, how deep the depth of logistics, because you can cut into each and every industries. So those are the small little items. But what about bulk cargo? If you want to move liquefied petroleum gas, for example, or if you were to ship grains, right? Here you have a picture of grains, your maize, your corn, your salt, for example. You want to ship in bulk, right? So these are all the bulk shipment. That's another form of logistics, right? Here you see things at a bigger scale. That's not all, guys. How about this? If you build an Airbus A380, unless you build everything in one location, which is not the case, right? In today's so-called globalized world, you find that you need to bring parts and pieces from different places of the earth. So you have a project cargo. These are all the oversized, overweight, huge bulky cargo. You're going to bring this from point A to point B. So there must be equipments, there must be technological advancement to be able to ship this. Okay. How about oil rigs? Same. You still need to move oil rig from point A to point B, right? So we see this out in Malaysia itself. You use specialized vessel that can, in a technical term, is ballast and deballast. So basically what happens here is the vessel can sink to a certain depth to basically haul in, secure the cargo, and float back up to on voyage, to carry on the voyage. So these are all the specialized logistics. So having said that, having hopefully impressed upon you the depth and the breadth of logistics, the next point is, what if I do logistics as a subject? You know, what would I be covering? So if you want to have more detail, ask our ex-students. They will tell you they enjoy the course. At the bottom is a series of process that you will see in logistics. It always starts from the origin, the manufacturer, the producer, and it always ends up at the end user, right? If it's an e-commerce, you'll be consumer. If it's still in the manufacturing ground, I know it's from manufacturer A to manufacturer B who is going to value add. In between, whole chain of process, you have documentation, export clearance, you need to do inland transportation, you need to do loading, put it into the main carriage, be it a sea, air, or land. You can be train, right? Or it can be trucks. And the same thing the same process will repeat itself at the destination. So some of the topics you'll be covering, so this is, need to put a qualification here. Depending on your course, the subject could differ, okay? But by and large, these are some of the subtopics that you'll be covering. You heard about economics, trade policies. You need to read about economics, macroeconomics to be exact, because it's moving from point A to point B. Trade laws comes into play, right? You need to understand what is trade operations, what is supply chain. You need to understand a little bit about management, organizational management. Next is obviously the finance aspect of it, right? In a world like today, what is this information technology all about? What can we do, right? How can we use digitization? How can we use virtual reality? How can we use drone, for example? All this technology to augment the entire logistical process. So these are just some of the topics you'll be covering as a student. Bread and butter, important. That's why Brian is here today, right? Tell you a little bit more about the opportunities, logistics as a career. Few points, just a couple of points I want to highlight. First, I've mentioned this ample job opportunity in logistics. As long as there's trade, there's movement of goods, logistics is required. So there's, even in a time like this, it's important, right? If you consider the local last mile, it is a form of logistics. So someone needs to still be able to run it, right? The operation. Career progression. So you'll find that in the case of logistics, there's rapid career progression, right? Because experience in the operational field matters a lot in logistics. Sometimes, and why experience? So let me give you some example. It could be as simple as just inflating tires. Certain times along the road of as you're traveling, you find that, hey, I cannot clear a certain bridge. There's some obstacle. So some practical knowledge. So what are you going to do? Right? So some people resort to just deflating the tire so that to gain an extra few centimeters of clearance, just to be able to on carriage the entire consignment. So these are all like project cargoes, for example. If you like traveling, and depending on the type of logistics you get into, this field is not location specific. It can be anywhere, right? Because it's goods, movement of goods. It's never boring. It's not a desk bound job. Trust me, that's true, right? Especially with project logistics or bulk cargo, it is never boring. It's always on the move, right? You don't want to hold back any shipment. You want to make sure you move it as efficiently as possible. In the present day, you work with new technologies. I mean, all industries are into that, but I believe you see a lot more of this in the logistics sector, right? So I've highlighted a few, right? Drone technology, improvement in telecommunication, virtual reality, for example. So that is logistics as a career. So basically with that, I have, covered the 4 points that I set out to do. You hear about logistics, its impact on economy. You get to hear about logistics as studies, and last of which, career, right? What is career in logistics like? All right, so I will not take on your question now. I'll just have a quick look. Let me pass the time to Sean.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, well, for someone like me who have no idea or not familiar with this industry at all, I think this is very, very informative. So I hope students here, you can get the information that you need to really, make an informed choice, whether, how is logistics going to be like. All right, is there any questions for Peter? If not, we can start off with the next sharing. Any questions here? All right, so thank you, Peter. So we will move on to the next segment here. That will be, okay, our alumni sharing, okay, Jayden Lim. He is our recent graduate of the MIT Logistics and Supply Chain program. So he's going to share with you more on his internship experiences with 3 different companies. All right, so over to you, Jayden.
Thank you. Let me share my slides. Hi, a very good morning to everybody. Yeah, I'm Jayden. Yeah, today I'll be sharing about my internship experience. Yep. Okay, yeah, so before my sharing, I'll do a quick introduction about myself. And you can see from here, here's a summary of a project 1095. And for those people who don't know why it's 1095, if you happen to go into the block B and glass door there on the right side, right, you will see the project 1095. It is because I spent my 3 years in SIM, and this is the big project where I'm actually completing this 1095. Yeah, so I'm actually a graduate. Recently, I just graduated from MIT. I have a double major background of logistics and supply chain management as well as marketing. It actually puts me in a privileged position to understand both front and back office. Yeah. So as a student, I have very vibrant university life. And as I'm a student ambassador to help out some school events, and I'm also the president of Supply Chain Career Chapter under Career Connect, where I also spearhead the very first Career Talk PNG. And I'm also the local committee vice president of ISAC and SRM, where I help to bridge the culture gaps, where I'm bringing the international intern from another country and also pitch the global internship products to local companies and facilitate the entire internship experience where the international interns come to Singapore. Yeah, I'm also the peer mentor for five consecutive semesters. And I'm also very fortunate to have both on-campus experience as well as the virtual experience. So before COVID, I managed to go to Vietnam to have a global leadership programs under MIT scholarship. So, but now they actually move our entire program to online. Yeah, so I'm also the Age Award recipient for 2021. And before graduation, I managed to complete 3 internships. So the very first internship is a financial advisor intern at Advisors Alliance Group. From that particular internship also before the COVID. So managed to have 2 overseas trip. One is in Indonesia, Bali. The other one is in Malaysia. And have the chance to work with a very large group of people. So it can see that the personnel who are shown in the picture is the interns, the rest of the fellow interns working together with me. And he actually trained my presentation skills and communication skills. And this is an insurance industry, so they actually pay a lot more attention where they actually train you how to come up financial models and also train you to present in front of large group of clients. So that's some of the takeaways from this particular internship. And so the second one is more relevant to my course of study, which is logistics and supply chain. Is Excel marketing, working as a procurement intern. So this internship is very interesting because I was actually hired to start a new project where they have a lot of samples coming in because the company itself is doing corporate gifting. So every single day I will be receiving different samples and open our sample, I do some testing. And I have the chance to work across different work functions, not only procurement and also sales and marketing, as well as a warehouse. So, and at the same time, I have the opportunity to do demand forecasting with a large data set. And the opportunity that they are actually giving me, not just like interns are doing some manual tasks, I'm actually doing the demand forecasting and also issue purchasing orders to purchase the real products. And I will be able to see the end-to-end how the goods is moving from one place to another place, like what Mr. Peter mentioned earlier. Yeah, so and I also have the opportunity to do some process improvement to help them to optimize their catalogs and to look into their product assortment and to see which are the products that you're supposed to promote and all that. So so this is one of the picture that you can see that the culture of the company is also very good and they value interns' effort. And the one on the right is on my very last day. They actually have a celebration with me before I conclude my internship with them. Yeah, so. Okay, so the very last internship is with Shopee. So Shopee is one of the fastest, one of the largest e-commerce platform in the Southeast Asia and Taiwan. So I was working as a cross-border e-commerce intern. As you can see from the duration here, is from last year, July, and right after lockdown, and also the ending of this year, April, so it's about 10 months. And normally internship won't go so long. And the reason why is because I, towards the end of my internship, my manager actually extended the invitation, asked me to extend the internship for another 4 months. And that's because I was actually managing a few projects. So back then I was actually serving the Vietnam market. So for those I see just now, there are some of the participants actually from Vietnam. And if you happen to buy any products during that period of time, right, you will definitely see the campaigns that I was supporting. And especially like flash deals at those low price deals in order to attract clients to the buyers to the platform. And I was fortunate enough to be part of those mega sales from all the way from 8 all the way to 12. And I was really surprised to find out that all those spike days, right, the orders can accumulate up to 1 million orders just one single day. And yeah, so I get to learn about other departments as well, which is the warehouse and logistics, how the goods is moving from one country to another country, because I'm serving Vietnam market and the sellers are actually from China. So they need the logistics to move goods from China all the way to Vietnam. Yeah, so Shopee is a very, very fast-paced environment where I get to learn a lot of things, which is process improvement, where I'm actually able to help the team to automate certain tasks from probably maybe you need to spend hours and shorten into just 5-10 minutes. So there's actually a lot of opportunity, and I have a regional exposure as well, talking to people across country and across market as well. And one of the important takeaway from this internship is prioritization and time management. Because back then I was actually study full-time in MIT and part-time internship with Shopee. So I have to balance myself between the studies and work. And during work, there are a lot of things that, a lot of tasks that you have to handle every single day. So you have really prioritize yourself with all the different deadlines to be met. And time management is a very crucial skills that I actually take away from this particular internship. Yep. So on the right, as usual, is also the appreciation dinner that my colleagues actually organized for me, and I'm very fortunate to have such opportunity to complete the internship with Shopee. And many of people actually ask me why I wanted to complete 3 internships and why I actually spend all my holidays with doing internship instead of going for holidays. And I think these are some examples that I would like to show you. Way before graduation, on my LinkedIn, I received a lot of DM, even my emails, like I received the message from the recruiters like Amazon, Lazada, Shopback, and Google. They are actually inviting me for send over the CV and interview as well. And this is just some of the example that I show you, and there are quite a lot more opportunities out there. So, and at this point of time, and today actually is my very last carefree days, because tomorrow onwards I'm going to start my very first full-time job as digital operation executive at Lab Asia. So I will be working with data management, e-commerce, obviously based on my previous experience, as well as logistics. So I would like to conclude my sharing with that. SIM actually gave me a lot of opportunity, and I really enjoy my course study logistics and supply chain management. And feel free to reach out to me if you like to know about more of my internship experience, and if you have any of the questions. And thank you so much.
Okay, Jayden, congratulations, you got a job. I think with your profile, with your background, it should be quite easy for you to land a job, I think, because you've been very active doing internship. Maybe one thing you can share with the audience here to give some tips, how to find internship. Can you share something on that? Jayden? Are you there, Jayden? You're muted.
Hi, sorry, yeah, I just dropped out. Yeah.
Okay, are you able to share some tips on, with some of the students here, how do you go around getting all those internship opportunities?
Yeah, sure, definitely. The very first thing that I think you need to focus is on LinkedIn, because given the current situation, right, LinkedIn will actually help you to build your online presence. And I have a bit advantage because my second major is marketing. So I know actually what to advertise about myself and what to put on LinkedIn. But I think the very first thing that you need to really build on LinkedIn and actively connect with the company and professionals who are working in your dream company, which is the company that I would like to go to, like Shopee. So you connect a lot of people over there, and feel free to approach to them. And you will be surprised to find out that people over there are very friendly, and they would like to take your questions and answer your queries and all that. And you will realize that actually, especially company like Shopee, and they will do a lot of engagement talks and workshops, right? Go and join them. They will have a lot of professionals willing to help you, and there will be recruiters over there. Reach out to them. They will actually provide you the opportunity to go for the interviews and all that. And yeah, that's how I actually managed to get my internship opportunities. And yeah, of course, if you have people who working in organization, right, reach out to them and talk to them. They will provide you a lot of insights.
Okay, wow, thank you. So students over here, hopefully you have learned something from this senior, okay, who has shared his experience and given tips on how he managed to get through to get all this internship opportunity, and indirectly that helps him to land a permanent job. Okay, thank you, Jayden. Any questions for Jayden from the floor? Any questions? Students, do you have any questions for Jayden? It seems like no. Okay, it doesn't matter. If let's say you have questions for Jayden, you can also still drop us a chat later on, and then we will chat with Jayden. Thank you, Jayden. Okay. So Winsty, okay, admiration for Jayden. Thanks. Okay. So next up, we will have the panel discussion. Now, where is my slides? Hold on a minute. Okay, so now we are into the next segment of today's events. It's on the panel discussion, and the question here will be COVID-19 and how does it impact the logistic and supply chain industry. So we are very privileged today to have Mr. Clifford Fong, who is an employer, okay, and Ben Hu and Chiyang, who are both SIM alumni, to join us today to have this discussion. Now, some of you might ask, why these questions, why COVID-19, how does it impact the logistics and supply chain industry? Mainly because when, for us in our course of work, when we talk to students and their parents, a lot of students and parents, they always feel that with this pandemic, is it still worthwhile to go into this kind of industry? Is it worth taking the risk? What if I study this kind of program and then at the end of the day, I couldn't find a job because, with but everywhere is doing lockdown. How is it going to affect the industry? So people have reservation going for this kind of program this day. So today we have three experts, okay, three persons who are in the industry themselves coming on board here to share all these things with us. So we can start the discussion today. So, okay, so we have on my screen, I have Jian Liang, who is going by the name of Ben, and then Chiyang, and of course, Clifford. Now, maybe we can do a self-introduction first of yourself. Say, Clifford, you can go first to do some self-introductions.
Okay, all right. I'm Clifford. Right. Basically, I've been in marine shipping, oil and gas, offshore industry for the past 20 years. Right. I started out as a marine engineer. Then halfway through my career, I switched over to supply chain and procurement. Okay. Why the switch? Right. Because I want to widen my scope of exposure. Okay, and also the more I'm involved in supply chain, in procurement, in logistics, the more interested I am to find out more. Yeah, because as what Peter has said, it's a very wide scope and it's a very bombastic, I should say, all right, area to work in.
Okay, nice. How about Jian Liang? I know you are a recent grad, so.
Yes. Okay, so my name is Ben, and I recently just graduated, I would say maybe just 3 to 4 months ago. And I'm currently in CEVA Logistics with the role of an operations coordinator. Something about myself, previously I was from the real estate industry. I took a diploma in real estate business in Ngee Ann Poly, but then during my degree, I saw more potential in the logistic industry, which is also part of the reason why I decided to switch up my course of study and take up the logistics and take up something related to logistics, because I feel that this industry is, it's more booming and it's more interesting. So for myself, I'm inside CEVA Logistics, and I would say I'm more focused towards the ocean freight trade management, where to my understanding, CEVA is one of the largest global freight forwarding operators within a worldwide network in terms of freight forwarding, in terms of CEVA-led logistics solution.
Okay, thank you. Then Chiyang.
Hello everyone, my name is Chiyang. So I also I graduated from MIT Logs and Supply Chain Management back in 2017. So unlike most of the final year students or my peers or like Jayden, I wasn't actively looking for a full-time job at that point in time. Yeah, so because I told myself that I wanted to take a long break. I mean, take a short break before I actually enter the working world. So, however, I was fortunate enough to secure a full-time position within a month after I finished my final exam. Yeah, so I started off as an operations coordinator. So yeah, because I did not want to miss the opportunity because it was also an MSc. So after 2 years plus of working in the first company, I was offered the other, which is my current role, is a project-based role. So I actually, yeah, so it's a totally different kind of job scopes because in my first job, I was the person who executed the shipments. But it was a good exposure for me to actually understand more about this industry because I would say the knowledge that we learn from the course itself, right, is more maybe 60% quantitative and 40% qualitative. Yeah. So, but however, it is easy for me as compared with other colleagues who are not from a Logs background, okay, because it's easier for me to pick up, like for example, Incoterms, okay. Although the knowledge that we learn is more on theoretical base, but when I actually touch on the real business world, right, I finally understand that, oh, actually Incoterms can work in a different way. Yeah, so currently I'm working as a project role. Okay, so I think the most interesting thing that I find is the verticals that I touch on, right, is not limited to logistics industry, but I also learned like pharmaceuticals, aerospace, automotive, or even healthcare, and many different kind of industries. So I think this is the most fun part that I find in my current role.
Okay, thank you, Chiyang. So now, Chiyang, you are also a Malaysian, right? So
yeah,
and you you graduated in 2017, if I remember correctly. So was it difficult for you to get a job back then as a foreign student?
Okay, maybe full-time job is not that difficult, but internship is definitely because for international students, they are not allowed to engage any internship in Singapore. So if there are any Malaysians or international students in this forum, I would recommend or encourage you to take on any internships in your own country, Yeah, because that would definitely help. Because recently my current team, right, is actually looking for intern or even full-time position. So I participated in the interviewing sessions with my managers. So I understand how managers actually review the profiles of the candidates. So definitely internships experience will help, because I believe you might have heard that some people say internship is not really useful. Okay, but it's not the case. Like just now, Jayden actually shares fruitful internship experience. So yeah, so definitely if you're given the opportunities, definitely you need to take on. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
full-time job for at least for this industry is not difficult, because maybe I want to like correct everyone's understanding. Okay, maybe like a lot of people think logistics is only limited to a logistic company, but actually not the case, because logs and supply chain, these are the two main different topics. And within the logs itself, right, you can do like procurement, purchasing, pricing, many different kinds of scopes. So it's not only limited to warehousing, or even like, because a lot of people think that logs industry is more suitable for guy. Yeah, but in fact, right, I would say a lot of top managements, at least for my company or other companies, right? Actually, a lot of women leaders as well. So yeah, so it's not like an old school kind of industry. Definitely. Maybe later Sean can touch on more different topics on that. Maybe the rest of the alumni can share.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Because now you say that, I just realized that all the panelists, all the speakers here today are all guys. There wasn't any ladies in this event doing all the sharing. So I don't know whether that is this misconception that, okay, maybe logistics and supply chain industry is not really meant for the ladies, but you have addressed that. Okay, so maybe they are at the upper level, we won't know. Okay, so now to the next questions, because I think Ben, you were saying you were from real estate, okay, and then you decided to go for the logistics and supply chain because you see the potential. All right. So what was that things that trigger you, to me, you decided that, okay, what kind of potential do you see back then?
Okay, so back then when I was in the, let's say I was taking my real estate diploma, I was in my polytechnic days. So I assume maybe I was around maybe 17 to 18 years old. And during that period of time, most of us will actually go work for part-times during your holidays. You will go try to earn some pocket money for yourself. And most of these jobs are actually jobs within the logistics industry. Multiple part-times I've actually, before even deciding to take on the logistics degree, I worked in multiple warehouses. I have worked in Shopee warehouses itself. I have tried quite a few hard labor jobs on its own. And you discuss with your colleagues over there, you discuss with your employers, you actually find out that the logistics industry is more than what you think it is. It is more than just, staring at the computer. It's actually enabling e-commerce itself. There are multiple transactions going through every single day. And the thing about logistics is that if you think logistics is a very small industry, the very fact that logistics exists is because every single company requires logistics. Even a simple F&B company requires logistics because there must be a process of procurement. You must be able to purchase your supplies. You must be able to purchase your goods. So if you think about it, there are multiple companies out there which requires logistics itself. Of course, supply chain is a different term. Supply chain comes hand in hand with logistics. So that's one of the big reasons why I decided to, just take the bold leap and try out to actually go for the logistics degree instead. Not saying that the real estate industry is a very weak one, it's a very bleak one, because I have many friends who are in they are property investors, they are property managers, there are multiple. I have a lot of my graduates also who are thriving in the real estate industry. But I would say that me personally, I would just feel that the logistics industry is something that is more suitable for myself.
Yeah, it's more intriguing to you as well, in that sense. Okay, so for Chiyang again, I think you went through our diploma, right?
Yeah, I took DMS.
Correct. So at that point of time, are you already kind of fixed on logistics and supply chain degree, or is somehow along the way, then you decided to go for that?
No, actually, at the point in time, I wanted to, because my interest is not really on those general business courses like accounting, finance, and all that. So I believe many years ago, right, logs and supply chain is not very common in a common business degree. I believe so. Even until now, MIT, I believe, is the only institute that offers this course, right? At least in SI. So, but I think. Sorry, what was your question?
I mean,
why did I choose this? Is it?
Yeah. I mean, because
is
it something that you already fixed your mind when you first came to SM, or is it something that along the way you decided that you want to go for the logistic kind of a program?
Yeah. Even before I decided to sign up for DMS, I already decided to take on this course because for MIT, right, even after you completed the DMS 1.5 years, you can actually you're exempted for the first general year, right? So you can actually continue on with the logs course. MIT course after for 1.5 years. So total is only like 3 years. It's pretty short, okay, as compared to other business course. Yeah, so yeah, I already made up my mind before I actually decided to take a DMS course because yeah, that's all.
All right, so typically you already kind of fix your mind before you even comes in. You know your goal, you know what you want to achieve, and you're determined to achieve that, and now you are in it. So is this something that what you are doing now is something that you have visualized back then before you start your journey?
Yes, definitely. Because like I mentioned just now, a lot of people has the wrong mindset that, okay, lots fresh grad has to work in the lots company. Okay, actually it's not the case. I have friends who actually do the same course, right? They are working in an e-commerce company, manufacturing company, pharmaceuticals, what else? High tech, and maybe I would want to also encourage, okay, the fresh graduates here, right? Do not think that even if you graduated from a private institute, right, doesn't mean that you cannot work in a big MNCs. Yeah, this is quite a wrong mindset. Yeah, because employers nowadays, they do not only look at your academic performance, they would also look at your attitudes, of course, and your like your CCA experience, because that will actually explains your leadership skills and also your performance in the interview session. So yeah, so do not worry about, okay, fresh grade from a private you cannot get a good job. So just try your best. At least for this industry, it's actually still grooming. If you can go, if you go to LinkedIn, right, basically every day, you just search logistics or supply chain. There are so many openings from big MNCs. So don't worry about this. And just now someone asked about the salary range, right? So I would say it depends on the role and your years of experience. But for fresh graduates, just try. SM is still like other local user. So just try your best to apply for the job and do not worry about the salary range. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, very well said. Because in a way, when you're looking for jobs, your degree will not make such a big difference. It's more on whether you have the internship experiences, you have the right mindset, the right attitude, because that and the job fit, because that's what the employer are looking for. I think that Brian can also share later on with that. All right, then in terms of salary range, I think for students, I mean, I don't know whether, okay, Clifford, are you able to share a bit on this salary range, a rough idea?
Okay, regarding the salary range, I would say is a very broad. It's a very broad range, depending on which sector, which industry, even which level of the position you're holding in a company, right? And also depends on, is it an SME or is it an MNC? So for fresh grad who enter into a SME, right, overall from my experience, you may get slightly lower pay than if you are accepted by an MNC company. All right, and if you are in the local company, all right, the range will not differ too much between SME. So regarding to this, right, I would say that this for fresh grad or for students who are going to look for a permanent job, salary range should not be your main concern, right? Because employers nowadays, or should I say, there are two sides of the employers. I couldn't speak for the other employers, but for my side, we pay upon your qualification. We pay upon your performance in your interviews, or even pay upon your past experience. So we do benchmark according to market rate, but we will not base solely on the market rate.
So,
all right. All right. So maybe I'll take one step further into this, is that when I do the interview for the candidates, I will not only look at the experience, your performance, or how you do in your interview. There's one more very important key point, right? Is that your attitude must be correct and positive, and we are also looking for people who can value add to the company, right? No longer such that I just do what my boss gives me. Okay, we are no longer looking for this type of people, because they seems like robots. You program, they just do, right? But we are human, so human has positive or have proactive thinking. So I'm looking for people who always consistently tell themselves, how can I value add to my company when I'm employed, or if I'm employed. So with this mindset, right? You definitely should score better at in the interviewing, and you build a better impression to the interviewer, right? Not only answering their question, but you also offer correct, concise information about how can you value add to the company if you are employed, and why should I employ you. This is the answer you should be framing about.
And, and more bargaining chip to ask for higher starting pay.
Correct.
Okay, Ken, thank you, Clifford. Now we'll move on to the next questions that we have. Now, when this COVID-19 pandemic strikes in early last year, okay, how did it impact your business or your work, and how did your company react to this situation? So maybe, Clifford, you can start off first by sharing this part.
Okay, so this pandemic situations in a broad scale, it affects negatively for certain sectors, but it also affects positively for certain factors. So for my case, in the shipping, we are containerized vessels owner and operators, all right, the third largest in the whole world, right? This pandemic actually affected us positively, right?
Okay.
We actually increased our revenue, we increased our business. Okay, but in saying so, there are of course certain steps that we take during this period. Right, first and foremost, the management have to change the style of operating. As you all know, work from home is now coming to a new trend. So when coming for this new trend, all right, business owners or even top management will want to channel their capital from one to another. Okay, for example, when work from home is a coming trend and it's more common, I'll require lesser space. So the company may downsize the office space, all right, and use the extra capital to open up a new business development or new business channel in to improve the revenue. Okay, to which we did that, right? We put in our excess capital by reducing hardware, okay, infrastructure. Okay, we improve our technology. Okay, we improve the way that we work from paperwork to 0%. Okay, right now we are really 0% paperwork and 100% online and e-document. Okay, this is a project which I undertaken since I joined the company 2 years back. So it's a very, very big project, and now we are still improving on it. Okay, at first we started on website. Now we are extending to mobile apps. So we can work anywhere, everywhere, as long as we have internet connection. Right, and the how should I say, the job behind this website or this data collection, processing, analytics, and everything is big. It's really, really big. And just to let you all know, okay, our company actually invested, all right, 12 million into this ERP system project. Okay, so this is actually a very big one. So it does not only consist of logistics, it consists of supply chain. Okay, and what I mean by supply chain, right, to give you all a better idea, is that supply chain management or supply chain process are blocks of procedures, process, and okay, management process, I would say, okay, which enable, right, the logistics to carry out their job, which is logistics are moving from point A to point B, as Peter and Chiyang has mentioned, right? So in the simple term, supply chain management or supply chain process is a brain work of the whole link, a whole spider web link, and logistics is a master work, right? And then if you want to know more, okay, warehousing, I would say is the okay, your stomach, where you input your food into your stomach and then you output somewhere else. Okay, so same for warehousing. Warehousing, you take in the goods, you store it, and then you distribute it and you export it. So it's a simple terminology that I can split up the whole supply chain and logistics categories, I would say.
Okay, thank you for the sharing. I think basically with the pandemic, all industry or all companies have to be agile and be resilient and move on to this so-called virtual world. And today, and because of this pandemic, that's why today we are here in this virtual setting to do this sharing. Because under normal circumstances, it will be a physical event, and a lot of international students will miss the chance to hear from you guys on all these insights and advice. So I think, yeah, I mean, we are all evolving to a certain extent. Okay, thank you. Then, Chiyang, do you have anything to share? Because you've been in the industry working for about 4 years now. Do you have anything that you would like to share? You know, when this pandemic strikes, you know, what do your company do? Is it different from what Clifford has gone through? And how does it impact your business and your work?
I think this pandemic, right, the impact is not only limited to logistics company. So because due to the so-called restrictions, everyone has to, every company has to arrange work from home arrangement for their employees. So I think there's no way that you can avoid. You have to be resilient to adapt all these so-called changes because business itself, right, regardless of what in what situation, you always have to learn constantly. So you have to be adaptable to all these kind of changes. So work from home experience is not really a challenge, but maybe for some of the roles, right, that require more people, maybe it's a challenge because they have to print stuff and all that. But because logistics industry is also working towards automation, so a lot of transactions and stuff actually, or operations actually on everything will be executed online. So there isn't any much impact on this pandemic.
All right. Okay, thank you. So now with this pandemic looming for years to come, because it's here to stay in a way. Okay. Now, what can we expect to see moving forward in this industry? Anything else we can share from insights as experts in this industry? What can we expect to see moving forward? Maybe Ben, you can start off with your sharing.
I think companies will be looking towards establishing more better relations with maybe let's say their suppliers. Because as you said, this is a COVID-19 pandemic. Profits are running low. Not every single company will actually be benefiting from the situation. So certain companies will be having losses. Certain companies will actually be getting profit from these losses. So I think, like, even for my company itself, for CEVA Logistics, I believe that most of them, like the actual employers itself, they'll be trying to establish stronger relationships with their suppliers, with their clients, to ensure that we are able to come to an agreement where if anything were to happen, we can still go long term with this business process. Because when for myself, my reason for coming to CEVA Logistics was actually to start up a new account. It's known as Lot Style Motors. So it's actually I would say a modern type of car. It's more of an electrical type of car. And this actual development process was actually delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the part of the reason why they actually decided to hire me was because they were actually able to discuss with their clients to come to an agreement that this is a potential business prospect for us to see in the times to come. So for myself, this is why I believe that logistics company, or not just say logistics company, every single company might be looking forward to in the future, actually building stronger relationships with their suppliers and clients.
Okay, so to you, it's kind of like it's actually not a negative thing. It does give you more opportunity with this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
Okay, that's something that I think the audience will love to hear, that because it's actually not so looming after all. It's not gloomy. In fact, what I'm hearing so far from the panel here, I think this is an industry that is definitely there's a lot of opportunity going ahead. Now, Clifford, what do you have to share about this? What can we expect to see moving forward?
Okay, moving forward, personally, I will see that it is still a grooming or at least a stable industry, right? It will not be phased out. I can tell you that it will not be phased out with for as far as I can see, right? Because right, moving of goods is very important, or else how you get your things that you want, when you shop online, right? Moving of goods is already logistics, but the shopping online, the platform is supply chain. See, when you go to grocery stores, same thing happen. How the goods are displayed on the shelf is logistics. You buy the goods is supply chain, and then how you move your goods to home is logistics. So it's already inbuilt into our everyday life that I will not see this as a phasing out industry. In fact, for my personal opinion, is a grooming industry in every sector.
Wow, it's definitely very encouraging. Especially I think Singapore, because Singapore, we require a lot of supplies overseas.
Yes,
So
correct.
incoming goods is definitely have to be something that we have to focus as well.
Correct. And also maybe I'll do it on a macro thing subject. All right. Import and export of goods for every country is very important to maintain their own economy. So the more import and the more export a country can do, right, sustain the country's economy, and that in turn sustain the businesses in that country, and that in turn create job opportunity or sustain the job that we all have right now.
Yeah,
right? It's all linked.
it's definitely all linked. You can't run away.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Clifford. Now, Chiyang, what can you share about this? About this industry moving forward.
Actually, I have the same perspective as Clifford. Yeah, because maybe I can share more about like actually does anyone has any other questions that they can ask? Maybe I can answer, because I think Clifford has covered the topic already.
Okay, I mean, for the audience, you have questions, you all can type in the chat, and then we'll address the questions. Okay, otherwise, maybe never mind, we'll just go on for the next question first. Okay, now, what we know that the constant thing now is that things are constantly changing. Okay, so how and what will you advise students who are interested to work in this industry, and how to better prepare themselves for this new normal way of working now, because now it's totally a new way of working? How will you advise our students here today, who are looking at working in this industry? I mean, from previous years and compared to now, the new norm, what's the difference, and how do they better prepare themselves? Maybe Ben, you can start sharing first.
I think Chayden just asked a question on how to get internship jobs. So I think one thing about internship is that depends on different universities. For RMIT itself, there's actually an internship program that you can actually apply for. So something about your students is that you all need to go and actually source for these kind of opportunities on your own. Schools will provide you with the platform to get the opportunities, but at the end of the day, if you are really interested in getting the opportunities, you guys must, make an effort to approach the school, actually go and attend the programs, because every single school will definitely provide a platform for students to get an opportunity to go for internships. Okay, so aside from internships, on the other hand, I would say I fully agree with what Jayden said. I think it's very important to build up your LinkedIn profile. Okay, your LinkedIn profile is, I would say, it's a very modern kind of resume. Some employers would prefer to look at your LinkedIn profile to approach you. Before that, as in once they approach you and get to know better from your LinkedIn profile, then they will actually go and look at your CV. So your LinkedIn profile could say it's your profile, it's your face. So it actually depicts how you are as a potential employee. other than that, I think it's very important that because I myself am a fresh graduate, before graduating, the fear of not getting a job is very strong, because we are living in a COVID-19 pandemic. We're living in a COVID-19 era. You never know that, some students may actually be getting jobs that are lower paid than others. I myself, I graduated, let's say this year, 2021. I may have to fight with students graduating from the previous year, 2020, who are still struggling to get a job. So I would say it's very important to build up your LinkedIn profile. Actually practice on your presentation skills. You must be able to be prepared to answer what the employer wants, because now certain employers will become more picky. Like what Clifford has said, your degree is just a piece of paperwork. But if you're unable to present yourself with the confidence level that the employer wants, you may not be the potential candidate that they actually may want to hire. And salary range is another thing. Of course, if I'm graduating with a degree, I wouldn't want to take a salary range below a certain amount, because it makes me feel like I've wasted my time taking the degree. But I'm pretty sure most of the companies out there will actually provide affordable salary ranges, where if you are appealing enough to the employer, you'll actually be able to get yourself a good amount of money pay and slowly work your way up from there. So I would say, don't be scared, because end of the day, it's still your first job. There'll be more opportunities coming in the future. So just take the first job as a building background and slowly work your way up towards the hierarchy.
Yeah, so fully agree with you, because in the sense that at the interview, how you perform that interview will determine whether the company is willing to pay you or decided not to get you in. So that is the most important factor that I think for the audience here, something that everybody have to beef up this area and not just focus on salary and just salary alone. Because if you are good, you have the right mindset, you have a positive attitude, I think employer will be very much willing to pay you. That should be the way to go. All right, and then for Chiyang, what can you share about this? How are you going to advise those potential students going to the industry to better prepare themselves in terms of mindset, in terms of skill set? What can you advise on that?
I think skill set wise, I believe most of you would have more, because like I said, like I mentioned, logistic industry, they are working towards automation. So maybe every different companies will have their own system. Okay, like Clifford's company, they are using ERP. Yeah, so I think you have to be adaptable when you actually, especially for those students who did not have any prior solid working experience or internship. Yeah, so it can be a culture shock if you actually, go into a brand new company, or that's your first working experience. Yeah, but I would say attitude is very important. If you're willing to learn, okay, and you might have heard that some people say, okay, don't ask stupid questions, but actually, if you do your own research, okay, or if you, before you ask any questions, right, you do a research, or even you give some solutions before you actually ask the questions, that would be better. Yeah, especially for I have this understanding after I actually accepted my current role, because I'm in the project team, so I'm the project lead for different business accounts. So I will need to assess the impact before I actually reply to an emails, because I'm the middleman of operations, sales on many different stakeholders. Yeah, and most of the business that we got right is actually on a global tender. So the business actually not got it from Singapore only. So I will need to liaise and interact with different stakeholders, internally or externally. So I think being able to assess the impact or give some possible solutions to the company, like value add will be very important as well. So other than that, soft skills wise, I believe you all can attend the courses like Simon has offered for the students, like those presentation skills or even like interviewing skills and all that. So just go and spend your holidays or your period before you actually start off your new job, right? Actually go and take on those courses, yeah, because it's a benefit for the current students as well. So yeah.
Yep, it's not so much on, I mean, on top of just the so-called hard skills, the knowledge of that kind of in the industry, I think the soft skills also an important aspect that employers are always looking at now. So this is one area that I think students will have to really go and so-called improve on. Okay, so Clifford, the last one here.
Okay, I believe Chiyang and Jinliang has already covered major points. I'll just like to add on something as an employer's perspective, right? Number one, right, skill set or skills, right? We are actually not too much delve into it because skills can improve, can upgrade over time, right? So this is not a major point or not the most important point at the interview. The more important point is what Sean had mentioned: soft skill, your mentality, your positive attitude. All right, this is what we are looking for in a candidate. Right. Just to share a piece of information for fresh grads or for those people who want to go into working society. Because of work from home, right? A lot of people say, oh, work from home, I'm away from my boss. Okay, my boss do not need to see me, all this, I'm very happy. But actually wrong, right? As a old saying, away from sight, away from mind. So if I do not see my employees, I mean, I have 20 staff under me, right? I do not monitor them every single day or every single moment. This is not my job. But the thing is, when it comes to promotion or when it comes to career advancement, who will I think of first? The person who approached me the most, right? Make yourself approachable, number one. Make yourself visible, number two. Even though your day-to-day job requires you to be like very busy with your day-to-day tasks already, but once in a while, not say every day, I do not need every day, but once in a while, there are always staff to approach me for certain advice, certain things, to make them, or certain proposal even they have, to make themselves visible. Rather, truth to be said, I have not seen my staff for the past, I think 1 year plus, since the whole pandemic situation. So there are already, some of them already almost forgotten. Oh yeah, I remember I have this stuff during the meeting. Okay, because they remain too quiet. So, and this is not very good because it indirectly form a not a very good impression to the manager.
Yeah.
Right. So moving forward, okay, the skill set is important, but attitude is even more important. Make yourself visible. And Chia had mentioned, you don't come to me with questions only. You do your research, you have your possible solutions, whether right or wrong doesn't matter. All I want to see is you put your effort.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Right. That's the most important thing.
All right. I think all employer want to see initiative from the staff. You know, not only just coming to you for solution, but they must be able to provide some sort of suggestion first.
Correct.
Before
Correct.
a start. Yes.
Correct. Because spoon feeding is no longer the way in grooming a successor or grooming an employee.
All right. Thank you so much for the panelists today. I think we have a very in-depth discussion, full discussion on this. So basically to round out the whole thing now, when people are saying that with COVID-19 pandemic is like kind of affecting all industry, including the logistics and supply chain industry, but hearing from the three of you, it doesn't seem to be so much on that. I mean, using a Chinese words, you know, WeG, when there's a danger, there's opportunity. So I guess logistics and supply chain industry is the industry that really benefited in the sense during this pandemic. And that will be a lot of opportunity, plenty of opportunity for people who are really venturing into this kind of industry. Okay, so any last words that you want to share before we can close off this discussion? And any students who have questions, you can also use this time to really type in the chat and ask now. Any questions from the audience? Or any last word from the panelists here? Okay, it seems like there isn't any questions. Okay, with that, thank you very much for Ben, Clifford, and Chiyang. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday morning with us. Much appreciated. Okay, so yeah, with that, we can conclude our discussion today. Thank you once again. Okay, and we can now move on to the next segment of today's event, which is, let me share my slides. Hold on. Okay, so the next one will be a corporate sharing by Mr. Brian Lam. Okay, he's from the Heidi company, so he's a team lead of the marketing department. So Brian, over to you.
Hello, thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Well, first of all, as I told the previous week's session when I was here as well, thank you so much for coming on a Sunday morning. Really, my hats off to you, because I know that I wouldn't have done it myself. Actually listening to something to better my career on a Sunday morning. I know how it sounds, but that's why it was. So we're definitely like way a lot of steps ahead of many of us, actually, including my past self. So I think Sean has given me a slight introduction. Yes, I am from the marketing team. I lead the marketing team at a company called Hiredly. You may have heard of us before when we were called WOP. We just rebranded on the 1st of July. So that was like 4 days from now. And what we do is basically, to put it simply, we are a job portal for junior to mid-level professionals. Okay, we have a job portal solution. We have a headhunting solution. Now, why am I here talking to you today? I think just now Mr. Peter oversold me a little bit on my knowledge of the supply chain and logistics industry. I work in the HR industry. I'm from the marketing team. I'm definitely not the expert of supply chain and logistics industry, but I am very much knowledgeable in terms of what makes an employer click when seeing a candidate. How you can potentially in a way cut the queue among all the other competitors. By competitors, I mean people of the same qualifications as you, who are fighting for other supply chain and logistics jobs as well. So that's what I'll be talking about today. And let me just share my slide right here, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go full screen now. So let me know if it's not full screen, okay? Just pull out the chat just in case there's any questions. Okay, so yeah, as I've mentioned, we were known as WOP previously, but we have rebranded to Hiredly. So this is how we look like right now, okay, if you were familiar with WOP. Now, what does Hiredly do? Hiredly helps you make the right move at any point of your career. I give a simplification of it. Just now, job portal, headhunting solutions, we help you with that. But this is what we do. We help you make the right move at any point of your career. So if you're new to job searching, we provide you with exclusive insights to employers to help you discover your ideal workplace. By new to job searching, I mean perhaps like people like you, you're a fresh graduate, or you're seeking for an internship. You have 1 or 2 years of experience. You worked at 1-2 company, not much job searching experience. We will help you, okay? Through a method like this. Now, I know it's Shopee here. I swear I have not seen Jayden in my life, and I am not here to promote Shopee with Jayden. It's just a pure coincidence, because they are a very good employer on our platform. But the company aside, features wise, you get to know more about the company on our platform, not only on a written level as you would expect from a job portal, but we also let you have an insight on the company culture. We have videos there is actually video interviews that is from like perhaps the CEO, the country manager, the executives, the interns of the companies, to share how was it like working in that company, and of course even some other rich media that help you be able to picture how is it like working inside a company that you're potentially interested in. So it's all about virtually transporting you into a company for you to see, decide, and learn whether you want to be a part of their company culture or not. Because let me tell you, you know Shopee, you know Lazada. In a way, they're both very similar companies. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when they sell, you either go here or there. They sell mostly the same thing. They do almost the same thing. They're perceived as almost the same thing. But you'll be very surprised in terms of working environment. They're actually very different companies. Not one is better than the other, because like it's preference, right? You know, are noodles better than rice? Are rice better than noodles? You know, some of you like either or, but they're not really better than the other. But that's what we strive to do. We don't want you to join a company, then later figure out like, I don't belong here. I'm not happy. And when you're not happy, you don't progress. You're not having a good time there. You're not learning anything. It's not good for you, right? So we really, really want to cut that problem out and let you be able to at least have more preview of how is it like working at a company before you even apply. So this is how our website looks like. You know, when you search for a company, let's say, for example, you're interested in perhaps a supply chain or logistics jobs in e-commerce industry, fine. Click companies belonging in e-commerce. You want to find Shopee? Sure, click on it. And this is how almost all the information you need about a company is inside one page already. This is what I've mentioned, where you have you know, you can watch videos of people, you know, like here is from someone from the human resource team. So you actually get to hear what kind of people or how the human resource team actually looks for candidates, what kind of people they actually want to attract to join the company, right, before you decide to apply to a job. So now, as you progress in your career, meaning that you have a few years of experience, or if you're a well sought after candidate, maybe you're a fresh graduate, you know, yeah, you don't have a few years of experience, but for some reason, like, you know, you're a very good candidate. You know, you're very much different than other people. Our headhunters from our headhunting team, Highly X, will match you to your next opportunity. So I'll touch more about this a little bit more, you know, prior to the end of the session. But this is basically the headhunting team itself that helps you, that you'll probably connect with. So it's as simple as just dropping your CV here, and it will help you find an opportunity. You know, click on the upload now button, drop your CV, and sit back and wait. Our headhunters will connect you with an employer, you know, if there's a suitable opportunity for you and an employer wants to hire you. So now, enough about the platform. Of course, I will be talking about the platform because all of these things that we do is to help reward quality job seekers, you know, to put them in a priority to match with employers. But I want to talk to you from a perspective of an employer. What makes an employer not want to reply to you? What are the common mistakes that you know, people make that make them lose the opportunity even though they're great candidates? And how you can potentially basically be a star candidate with just a few extra things you have to do that a lot of people, for some reason, don't do it. And it actually ties back a lot to what the previous speaker said, and I'll tell you how to accomplish that. But the truth about how employers screen your CV is very simple. Some people say 6 seconds, but I'll take the more realistic way of when I talk to a few people in recruitment HR. Employers, if they receive a lot of CVs, they take 2 seconds to decide whether they want to continue reading the CV or not. 2 seconds. Why? Imagine this. Yeah, you put a lot of effort in writing your CV. It's basically all of your license experience, you know, your education experience and all that in a nicely well-detailed document. But employers may receive hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of this, and they all basically look the same, you know. So if I tell you every day to read like hundreds and hundreds of CVs, you'll probably get bored of it, seeing the same thing again and again, that nothing stands out. Nothing stands out. Everybody says the same thing. Everybody is almost the same experience. They don't know how to market themselves to to make them seem different, it's kind of like if you go to a supermarket, okay, you buy chips, for example, you know, or milk or whatever, rice, okay, essentially they're all the same, you know, it's chips, it's rice, it's milk. So many brands, right? How do you pick from that? How do you pick from that? If they all look the same, you know, how do you pick from that? Imagine they're all white cartons or white packaging. How do you pick from that? Very simple is usually how you make your decision is what they write in the packaging. If you're a health person, you know, they would of course usually put things like green color or like you know, on packaging, less fat, less sugar, less cholesterol or whatever that they put on it to attract people who are who that product speaks to, right? If you like chocolate, for example, when it comes to milk, of course, I would put like brown and I say like, you know, extra chocolate, you know, the best chocolate taste or whatever on the packaging. But essentially, like, you know, chocolate milk is chocolate milk and there's so many other chocolate milks, you know, what makes you choose that one brand in the end? It's that brand knows how to stand out to people like you, okay? So you need to know how to do that. I'll teach you how. But the other truth is, sometimes you may even be lucky that the employers actually spend 2 seconds to look at your CV and decide whether they want to hire you or not. In quite a number of cases, your CV may not even be seen at all for a few reasons, which is some employers use a system, actually quite a lot of employers use this system, but it depends on how advanced it is, right? It's called applicant tracking system. Some of it is very, very automated, where they will pick keywords out from a CV based on the keywords that they input, what they want to hire from a person. Maybe they want, you know, skill A, skill B, skill C, but you didn't write that in your CV. You know, so their AI sorting or their automated sorting doesn't funnel you through to even have your CV reach a human to consider. It just gets rejected by the system. And it's mostly because due to the lack of information that the CV provides, or also sometimes it's the format that the CV is in, okay? So it's very sad. This is really, really very sad. But the biggest offender is, I know a lot of people try to stand out, making nice looking CVs. They design it in Adobe, you know, what do you call it? Illustrator, Photoshop, or whatever, right? And they save it in an image, not in PDF, not in Word documents. And you know how PDF you can highlight things and images you cannot, right? Most of their systems that they use to screen candidates cannot read images at all. So even if you have the keywords there, the system doesn't pick it up, it doesn't reach the employer. Remember, the employer gets a lot of applications. So sometimes they have, on top of other things that they do in their daily life, they have to screen CVs as well. So quite a number of them use this kind of system to screen CVs. And it's unfortunate that, you know, because of small, simple mistakes like that, it costed people the opportunity, costed job seekers opportunity. Now, even if it does get through the person, sometimes it's very visually cluttered. You usually see this kind of CV. If there's some employees here, I think know what I'm talking about. CVs like this are so common. CVs on the left-hand side here. I hope you can see my cursor. It's usually made like very low effort in Microsoft Words. And after I see 100 of this, I really lose interest, honestly. Not because of it looking ugly or what, but it's because it's so badly sorted. I'm not going to be reading this paragraph. It's a chore for me to even read one page of about 100 pages of this, right? I don't know where the sentences start. I don't know where the sentences end. So something like this, you know, it looks so much neater. I know where the sentences start, where the sentences end. I know there's 5, 6 points that this person want to talk to, what kind of skills they have, you know, awards and achievements. It's beautifully sorted over here. Does it look not professional? I know people like in supply chain and logistics or like in legal or in accounting are very wary that they don't want to make their CVs look too creative because it might look not professional. I understand that. But something like this is so far away from being unprofessional. Of course, your CV should not look like someone applying for graphic design job, because being a graphic designer, of course, the CV has to show some graphic design right there. But for you, professionalism, or the sake of maintaining looking at professional, doesn't mean it has to be boring. Professionalism and formal doesn't equate boring. You can sort it out nicely, something like this. And it's so much easier for me to read this. I really enjoy reading CVs like this, and so do a lot of employers. So if you don't know, here are some of the platforms that you can use. And whatever you do, save it in PDF. Again, I reiterate, to make it computerly legible, readable by computers. Now, if for whatever reason you need to send it in Microsoft Word, again, you can't even blame Microsoft Word for having a bad CV. You can actually design Microsoft Word in a way that looks something like this, that is so much easier to read and sort. There's even templates of this they can find online. So really, there's no excuse for boring looking CVs. Remember, I think what Jayden mentioned is that he incorporated some of the things that he learned in marketing to build his professional profile when job searching. So I want to tell you this, and I don't mean to come off as making you seem like an object or a product, but it's true. It's really true that your professional profile is, in a sense, is a service, is a product and a service. You are selling your service to an employer. You're trading your service for a salary, right? For a job. So you need to know how to market your service for someone who wants to buy the service. You understand me? So it's not as simple as just listing it like a grocery list for your CV. You need to know how to market it to people. And one of the ways of marketing is about catching people's attention fast so that you can keep their interest for them to make a decision and they take action to want to hire you. It's called AIDA, A-I-D-A, okay? You can Google that, but that's like the basic fundamentals of marketing. So enough about your profile, enough about what employers want from you for now. I'll teach you, how do you know what companies matches your values? Okay, so thank you, Winsley, for the compliment. I just saw that. But back to this, right? How do you know what company matches your values? Now, if you want to take a picture of this, screenshot this, go ahead, but hope you don't circulate it out online, take it as a gift from me to you. But this will come in very handy when you're looking for a job, okay? Usually, companies will belong to at least one or even multiple, like 3, 4 of these pillars of employer branding. If you read through these 7 pillars of employer branding, you might be able to identify a few pillars that you care about, okay? Your peers might care about different pillars than you. Some companies that you look at might not fit the pillar that you actually think you fit into. What I mean by that, it's getting a bit complicated. Let me illustrate by perhaps explaining this quickly. So let's start with entrepreneurism first. If a company has the entrepreneurism pillar, whatever they say outside, by saying, I mean, they type in their company profiles online, their career website, the videos that they put out when they want to hire people, the photos that they put out when they want to hire people, the posters, whatever the message, the things that they say when they want to hire people talks about entrepreneurism. It's when they talk about, we have a creative environment, we are a fast-growing company, we are a pioneering business. Maybe not the exact words that they use, but the message that they say talks a lot about these kind of things. And entrepreneurism is talking about how you have more or less, you can act like an entrepreneur in a company where you can find solutions to problems by yourself without a lot of red tapes, without a lot of established processes stop you from being creative, right? Technically, you're an entrepreneur, how you run your team. It's like an entrepreneur running a company, you decide how you want to do it as long as it reaches the goal, okay? Now, fast forwarding a little bit, altruism. Companies that talk a lot about altruism are companies like, like WWF or I can't remember any other companies off the top of my head right now, but it's all about making the world a better place. being environmentally responsible and giving back to society, right? So moving on, progressive culture is companies that has they showcase a lot of self-expression, a lot of autonomy, a lot of unique perks and benefits. So if you one good example is Axiata, company that owns Celcom. They actually show a lot of, if you look at their recruitment stuff, they show a lot of this progressive culture about self-expression, autonomy, unique perks and benefits. Their people there do not wear like formal clothing to work. You can see people. I used to know someone from I used to deal with someone from the HR team of that company that has like afros, and some people like has visible sleeve tattoos and stuff like that. And those kind of companies are all about self-expression. Some of them have very weird, unique perks like unlimited leave or whatever. So this kind of message shows that they have a more autonomous a progressive culture that allows this kind of perks. Now, if you see a company talking about showing testimonials, sometimes talking about like I joined this company and 3 years later I'm a manager or I'm a team lead of this company, yada yada. The company is talking about career growth. So the company has the career growth employer branding pillar, right? It's to give testimonials or talk about how the people inside have grown tremendously to be in leadership positions, to attract people who care about career growth a lot to join that company. You start to see where this is coming from, right? Social connection is about friendly working environment, team-oriented work, appreciative culture. Is a very collectivistic environment. Usually companies that are very competitive in sales do not have social connection. I can tell you that much, but usually I'm not, I don't want to give a blanket statement. Now, companies that talk a lot about wealth, competition, salary, high performance benefits are a very individualistic environment. So I like to use these two examples a lot. If you're a person that is more or less work like a lone wolf, if you're a salesperson, for example, you just want to do your sales, you care about chasing money, you don't really care about your other colleagues, you might find social connection, companies that have social connection pillar very annoying, because everything you need to do in teams and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But this type of companies who are under the wealth pillar, for example, like, I think the most simple example is like, those insurance companies, MLM companies, or like, bank companies, loans and stuff like that, talks a lot about wealth. They would tout these kind of traits. And of course, lastly, prestige. This one is almost self-explanatory really. It's about well-known products and services, respected leaders, top talent colleagues. Like, for example, the AirAsia is a good example. You perhaps know the boss of AirAsia, Tony Fernandez. You know any other companies, big names, and their leaders. Like maybe Elon Musk, Tesla. Okay, that's a very far away example. That would be a company that talks a lot about their prestigious standing. So, how does this all come into play? When you are looking for a job, I want you to look at what interests you in these 7 pillars of employer branding first. For me, I care about entrepreneurism, progressive culture, career growth, and social connection. Okay, I think I'm a bit greedy here. If I were to choose, right, I would say entrepreneurism, career growth, and progressive culture. And that is why I've been staying at WOP or Hiredly for this long, because the company environment suits me. It has what I want for now. And I feel like I belong. Hence, even on bad days, I don't feel dreading going to work, because I know, I'm happy in that company, but I understand work is work. Work is not always fun, but you don't want to be in the company that you hate, doing a job that you don't like, with people that you don't enjoy working with. It's going to be very, very hard for you to crawl out of it. And that is why a lot of people 3 months later, or 1 month later, 6 months later, they leave the company, even though when they join the company, they're like, wow, the company is amazing. I want to be a part of it. Now, I explained this in quite detail already. Let me play a game with you. I'll show you some examples. Some of you who has been here last session already know what I'm about to do, but I want you to listen to a snippet of two companies I'm about to show you, and I want you to identify which pillar that snippet or that company has from that snippet. So I'll show you. It's basically to teach you how to look out for these kind of things when companies are presenting this kind of message to you. This is Procter Gamble. Now let's have a listen, right?
Brian, there's no sound.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much for telling me.
No worries.
I think you have to share the computer sound.
Right. See how embarrassing this is for me? 1 year plus and I still don't know how to use Zoom.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much for telling me. I think that's probably it now. Okay.
Well, PNGs have a lot of fun while at work. We have annual national convention where everyone in the office goes out for a 2-day retreat. We have a lot of functional offsites where we get to go on food hunts, play laser tag, and we even take drum lessons together as a team. We hired a drum instructor, or a bunch of them to come and teach us. It's a traditional drum, so they teach you how to play drums as a team and in sync. And by the end of the 2-hour session, you should be able to play like a song in sync together.
Okay, so that was just a snippet of what this person from Procter Gamble said. A little bit about the company. What pillar do you think they belong to? I want to see your answers in the chat. Come on, I'll give you like 15 seconds. If not, I'll jump straight into the answer, right? Okay, I see some answers coming in. Nice. Social connection. Li Ying said, we'll see, we'll see. Okay, Chai Ting says social connection as well. Maybe I'll get like best of 3. Come on, one more. One more or the time ends? Let's see. Okay, time ends. Never mind, best of 2, right? Okay, there we go. The third answer, social connection. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. That snippet itself shows that Procter & Gamble actually has the social connection pillar. So now let's look at another company. Now this company is this company is Tan Chong Motors. If you're in Malaysia, you know they are the, I think distributor is the right word, of Nissan cars. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what company you're from, Nissan cars, right? So let's listen to them.
And because I wanted to be in the management team to know how a business actually is run in a huge corporate company, as well as to know more a little bit about how profit and loss is generated, how marketing strategies is done in the automotive industry. The experience in Tan Chong for the past 2 years of the management associate program was great, and now that I have been promoted to the assistant sales manager, my responsibility are even greater. Besides that, I am also working with a group of leaders which are very aggressive and hungers for success, and it's exactly the environment that I would like to work with.
Is it still social connection? Come on, in the interest of time, I'll take one perhaps. Okay, career growth, right? If there's any other answers, let me know. But yeah, like in that snippet, the 2 things that are the most prevalent, the most obvious is social connection for Procter & Gamble, career growth for Tan Chong. So of course, if that's just one snippet, if you read more about the company, you will see other pillars as well. Like Tan Chong has prestige, career growth, and wealth. Procter & Gamble, if I'm not wrong, don't quote me on this, is social connection, entrepreneurism, and progressive culture. They are a very prestigious company, but they don't really tout that in their messaging. Okay, they don't really talk a lot about that in their messaging when they want to hire. Now, Yeah, progressive culture. You probably if you're talking about Procter Gamble, yes, but if you're talking about Tan Chong Group, Tan Chong Motors, they don't really communicate progressive culture in there. But I'm sure you get that if you see the full video, right? So now that's the power of this. Even in a few seconds, you are able to see. You can probably decide already which company you're more inclined to join, which company you're not so inclined to join. You probably have like a preference between these two, right? Now, going back to Shopee and Lazada, they're both essentially the same company. If you look at the things that they communicate to job seekers, the way they promote their pillars of employer branding is quite different as well. So I don't want people, you do supply chain and logistics, you join either or company, and then if you have the choice, right? You don't know how to pick, and it just leaves it to a coin toss of which brand to join, because it's essentially the same thing. It's not. It's seriously not. They have very different working environment, and this is the way that you should look at employers to decide whether the company environment is suitable for you or not. Because nobody wants to join a job and just leave it in 1 month, right? Hopefully, if you can find a good company, you want to stay there for years and years and years to come. So now, enough about the companies. Now let's get back to you and how you can make yourself stand out with good personal branding, not only on Hiredly, although we have features that help the good quality people stand out. You will also be able to use this kind of things on LinkedIn, that a lot of the previous speakers talked about, and I agree it's a very good platform for you to put yourself out there, or any other job portals as well, if they allow you to. Unfortunately, a lot of job portals do not allow you to. Now, your personal brand is how you promote yourself. As I've mentioned, how you market your professional services, how you promote your professional services, because we want to have good quality job seekers to be able to stand out from the competition. By competition, again, I mean people from your same course are also your competition. They studied the same thing. They took the same courses. They roughly have the same CGPA as you. So why would I want to hire you over them? Why would any employer want to hire you over them, right? Now that is how what we mean by differentiating. So getting an employer's attention in 2 seconds is super, super easy. A lot of people look past this with a very ridiculous statements or summary, things that they put inside their personal summary. Like when a platform like LinkedIn, right? There's a way to talk about personal summary, or like on your CV or on Hiredly, the account has a personal summary. Some people just put, I am looking for a job. Well, obviously, if not, why are you doing it in a job portal? So how do you make yourself make sure you are worth your employer's time? Now, let me ask you this question. How do you decide what movie or book is worth your time? There's so many movies and books out there. You can't be reading all of it. You can't be watching all of the movies only to say that this is a good movie, this is a bad movie. What would you do? You usually watch trailers, watch synopsis, to decide whether the movie looks interesting to you or not, right? Then only you see like, okay, maybe this movie is good, this book is good, then I want to go and watch it, read it. Okay, the same thing applies here. Now, this is roughly what the employers usually see when they scan a candidate's profile. For us, for our platform, we put it very, very prominently here. And usually employers, the first thing they look at is here, a personal summary here. This CV is pretty well organized, but I still don't want to read it because there's a lot of words. Okay, so when I was hiring for this like partnerships and projects internship role, I look at this final year public relations and events management student. Okay, events management student for an events role. Okay, cool. Suitable. I want to read more. Taylor's world-class scholar. I have no idea what that is, but sounds okay. Sounds interesting. Okay. Director at ISAC in Taylor's University. Okay, someone with a key position in a club and society, which perhaps displays some sort of leadership skills. They have to have done something to get up there, right? Okay, I am interested. I want to read more about this. Right? That's how I would scan. If someone right here, like, I am looking for a job, I will probably not even read the CV, I will reject it. And I'm not trying to be a bad person here, but that's how a lot of employers do. And frankly, like I said, after so many CVs, you just don't have the time to read everything one by one. So this is how it would look like in Hiredly. Let's say if you are looking for a internship position, you would say something like this. And let me show you with an example. What you can do is, when you plan this, plan it in point form. I don't want you to write a sentence and you worry about your English. Write it in point form, because it's so much easier to put your thoughts out in paper when you don't have to care about grammar or punctuation or how the sentence structures. Describe who you are, say how your education has helped you perform well for the role, any unique achievements. And then secondly, if this is not too relevant to the role that you are applying for, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're not applying for a supply chain and logistics internship. Perhaps you want to apply for a marketing position because you want to experience that that as an internship as well. When you apply for a marketing position but you have totally different qualifications, I would think you simply apply, right? So what makes me not think you simply apply is, in your career objective, highlight the role or the industry you're interested in applying for. So it will look like something like this. I am an international business graduate of this university. I learned digital marketing through Google AdWords. I'm the vice president of student council. So just to recap first, this is how this is who I am, how my education has helped me for the role if I'm applying for a digital marketing position. This is my unique achievement. Another unique achievement, and my objective. So even even if it is relevant to what you're applying for loosely, but not really, right? International business and digital marketing, you would still benefit from listing your career objective here. Okay. But if it's like, you study accounting, you want to join accounting, sure, it's like speaks for itself already. So after you beautify it, it will look something like this. Okay, you can cut out and worry about the English, the language or sentence structures later. Now, if I'm losing you, let me know in the comments. Yeah. So all these things, hardworking, team player, detail-oriented, that a lot of people put as a way to describe themselves. I'm a hardworking supply chain and logistics graduate. I am detail-oriented and all this stuff. Please don't put it in your CV. Now, I said this to a lot of people already. In 100 CVs, I would say 90 of them has this kind of buzzwords, and it has lost all meanings. Unfortunately, it has lost all meaning already. You might be hardworking, you might be detail-oriented, but someone who is not hardworking or detail-oriented will also put themselves as hardworking and detail-oriented because they want to be perceived as such and they want to be hired. So let your experience do the talking instead, right? What I mean by that is, let's say, like, if you want to talk about leadership, if I talk about, just now how I saw that person's CV, that they have, they have a director position in that company society, I would automatically think that, there has to be some sort of leadership skills right there. Then I'm interested, I'll read more about that experience in their CV if I want to find out whether they actually have any leadership qualities. Did they do anything that showed that type of qualities? If you're hardworking, you need to show that in your CV through experience, not just saying it. Anybody can make baseless claims, right? If you're detail oriented, the most embarrassing thing you can do is have typos in your CV. Like, that is seriously the worst thing that you can do. Let these kind of things be told through your CV experience instead of you just telling that you have it. Now, this is a function that is only exclusive on our platform, but it will also, what I'm about to say here, will also come into play on other platforms like LinkedIn as such. So we actually allow you to cut job applications queue with our virtual interviewer, basically. Now imagine this is the job that you want to apply for. This job you want to apply for, this is how many people has applied to the job, 99 of them. Long queue, right? Would you queue out, would you queue up for something like this if it's like a restaurant? Maybe not, but it's a long queue regardless. this is where you are. You are the number 100 person that applies to the job. It's gonna be a long queue, you know. That's why some employers like take 2 months, 3 months to get back to you, because how slow they are. So now I say that we reward good quality job seekers who differentiate themselves, and this is how you can differentiate yourself. On our platform, when you apply to a job to an employer, they actually have a virtual interviewer that asks you a few questions. What do you know about a company? Why do you think you will do well in this role? And if you answer quite well based on your actual knowledge about the company, you have good answers. Let's say, for example, these people marked in green are the people who have answered. They would actually be prioritized, you know. So number 47 or whatever would actually be number 9 here, for example. Then those people that have not answered the questions by the employer. And if you were to do this, remember you were number 100, you would actually be number 10 in the queue for applying for that job, because a lot of our employers, and me included, looks at candidates who actually has replied to the virtual interviewer, because it is a sign that they actually are serious applications. They have shown more interest in applying for the job than other people. This is the same as well. Let's say if you are talking to an employer on LinkedIn, you connected to an employer on LinkedIn, you know, if you are just saying something like you message the recruiter like, I'm looking for a supply chain internship. Here is my CV. Thank you. Okay, that's what you do. But your friend says like, hello, you know, I'm looking for a supply chain internship, internship opportunity in your company, you know. Then they talk more about the company, like, you know, I really like what your company has done. You know, I have some ideas on how I can contribute, blah, blah, blah. And the more research you do, the more information you give, that employers will see that this candidate is very serious in applying for my job. Obviously, the employer will pick, you know, your peer over you, you know, if you are that person that just did the bare minimum, right? But it's just that on our platform, we automate this, you know, to reward people to be faster, but it has real world applications as well. So knowing a company's description is nothing. When the company was founded, all these things does not matter. You need to know the company's major achievements, their leaders, their employees, their company culture, their unique selling point, and also the competitors. So if you're applying for a company like, okay, let's use Shopee again, for example, since it's like thematic already. You not only need to know about Shopee's, this kind of things about Shopee, you need to know about Shopee's, you need to know about Lazada, their competitors, all of this as well. All of this. The more you know, the more knowledgeable you are. Of course, employers want to hire a knowledgeable candidate, right? So again, this is how this kind of pages on our platform comes into play. You know, to learn more about them, you can then go to Lazada's pages to learn. Not every employer on our platform has this kind of things, unfortunately, because some of them they don't really do much to help themselves attract good quality candidates, but then you probably don't want to apply to those companies anyway. But LinkedIn is another powerful platform of this. Now let me just quickly share with you on how you can extend this to LinkedIn, the practical use of this to LinkedIn. Let me just share my screen here. So okay, now let's say if you were to apply for, okay, again, same example, Shopee. Okay, you search for them on LinkedIn. I hope you can see my Google Chrome here, yeah. Nothing, and I tell you, nothing that you read gets wasted, because it's probably a conversation point later. Just as when you do research for your projects, you don't simply write without studying anything. You will have to research it, right? So let's say I just simply click on affiliated pages, like, oh, what is this C? Okay, so C is a parent company in Singapore. Okay, now I know. And they also own AirPlay, Shopee, C Money, and okay, Garena. Okay. Cool. So I know Shopee is somehow affiliated with AirPay and Garena now, like subsidiary companies, right? So okay, let me go back to Shopee because since I want to apply for a logistics internship here, why not, right? So of course I would scroll more and more for the sake of saving time. Of course I will do it a bit faster. I look at all these things like, okay, what is their recently posted video? What is this about? Okay. If it's relevant, of course, I would decide. I would learn something from it. But go through all these things because these are the things that the company put out on LinkedIn to make them perceive, to be perceived at a certain angle or a certain way, to attract people to want to apply to this company because they think this company is good and is suitable for them. So you probably catch some form of the employer branding pillars that I showed you in the things that they posted here, right? So yes, read up about a post, but this is where I think is the most relevant one. You look over here, you go to the people's tab, you see that, oh, okay, well, there are actually a lot of people in Indonesia for some reason, and I'm from Malaysia, so let me look at the Malaysian team, right? I click on Malaysia, and okay, these are perhaps the people that are in Malaysia. They are working in Malaysian side of Shopee. Okay, so let me find the people that are actually in human resource. Oh, no result. Interesting. HR. Okay, HR. Let me see whether these people actually has posted anything about Shopee or not. There may be some trial and error here, yeah. So because again, I'm doing this live demo, I'm not scripting it. Let me see whether this person talked anything about Shopee or not. Okay. Usually I like to search for the head of HR and what do they talk about it. This person doesn't seem to be talking a lot about Shopee. They do be sharing a lot of things about Shopee though, but they don't really express their points a lot. So if you somehow can find a head of human resource or someone who talks a lot about Shopee, on their postings, right? You see, now I found someone, human resource recruiter, from another company, from Shopee, sorry, from a colleague actually. And this is what they talk about when they talk about what kind of people that they want to hire, I think. Yes. So if you read more and more about the things that these people post, of course, you will go into a rabbit hole. You see, this person actually got awarded for doing something great for the company, Now, let's stop at this point and let me tell you how you can use this kind of point as a conversation starter. When you're talking to someone on LinkedIn, let's say you're connected to someone from HR at Shopee, or you are going for an interview, right? It's when someone asks, why do you want to join your company or what do you like about the company? You just don't say like, oh, I like your interface, I like your product, I know that you are founded in 1990 something or whatever. You actually talk about, of course, I want to join a company with this kind of thing. Whatever other points that is commonly found online based on what they put out. But when you look at this kind of human posting by the people that employs on the company, right, you are actually putting yourself as someone who researched a lot about their companies. Like, I really appreciate that Shopee really recognizes the talent in the company. And I want to be a part of this company. I've seen you guys give awards to the people in your company for doing a good job, of course, referencing what I just showed you just now. If you were to dig deeper, I looked at the company profile, they actually send some sort of, I think during festive seasons, they actually send some sort of, or was it Shopee? I can't remember. Maybe it might be a different company. At least one of the companies that I looked at, like not only in COVID-19, right, not only did they send some care package to their employees, but to the family as well. It might not be Shopee, but just using as an example, right? the company actually asks, how many family members there are, and all that stuff. So they not only reward the people, the employee in that company, but they reward the family as well. So this kind of companies, you can bring out these kind of things, you can bring out and talk to the employer and showcase that you actually research a lot about the company in detail. And now let me reiterate this, it's not to show off that, it's not to show off only that to make yourself look good for the employer when you're asked the question. It is also for you to see and decide whether this company suits you or not. Don't twist the intention here. Don't twist the intention here. Remember, you are joining a company. It's a serious thing. And it is something that you should really, really consider properly as well. But it's killing 2 or 3 birds with 1 stone, okay? You get to position yourself as a very interested candidate who did a lot of research. On the other hand, you actually did a lot of research to see whether this is the company you want to work at, maybe for the next 3 months if it's an internship or more, or even a full-time position, okay? So enough about that side of things. I want to talk about letting your personality shine through a CV. It's a lot about displaying your soft skill.
Sorry, I can't do that. You're not listening to iTunes.
I think I just triggered my Siri. I'm so sorry. That has happened a few times for some reason. I think I just triggered. I don't know what was the keyword, but I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. Technology is always listening to me. So, yes. I think some of the panelists just now talked about the importance of soft skill, right? I want to reinforce that point. That is absolutely true. In a way, to put it simply, if you have very technical skills, you have good technical skills, okay lah, that decent technical skills, right? And your colleague has excellent technical skills, very, very good. But when it comes to promoting someone for a managerial role to lead a team, someone who has better soft skill will always be prioritized, of course, for a position that requires more soft skill. So I'll give you an example that happened to a few actual real life cases that I've seen. In one of the companies that I know, I don't want to disclose it, but there was one person who was very disgruntled on, there was a software developer, like software coding has a lot of like technical skills needed, right? They were very good at doing what they do on a technical level. And they were actually angry when one of their colleagues who came in later than them, who was not as good as, software developing, coding as them, got promoted to become the team lead and not that person. So this person talked to me and said, like, I think it's not fair. Now, I know this person who was complaining to me personally, and I know exactly what happened. This person, when he presents his ideas and he talks to other people, and his form of communication, his form of managing his team is absolutely almost non-existent. He only cares about the technical aspect of his work. He is a very, very good software developer when it comes to coding, but when it comes to rallying the team, coordinating the team, communicating what they're doing to other teams to align, he is not as good as the other person who got promoted. Although the other person is not as fast of a programmer as him, they got promoted instead. So now that's going a bit like too far off really, but I'm going to tell you that it's absolutely true that soft skill is very, very important. So if you have very good technical skills, make sure you have very good soft skill as well. Now, of course, we want to showcase this to like I said, we reward good quality candidates, right? So we have a function that is called video cover letter that you can upload, and you can actually showcase how you communicate with people. Other than, there's only so much soft skill you can showcase in a video cover letter. It's mostly about your communication skills, how you present yourself. Are you confident? Are you jittery? Are you very you talk monotonous? The video cover letter basically helps you to get that you are a good quality candidate that can communicate with people. especially if you are working in a role that requires communication with other people, right? And this is how it will look like.
Hi, my name is Samantha and I'm a psychology graduate from Monash University. Although I am a psychology graduate, my passion actually lies in the digital marketing sphere, and I'm certified by Google in several digital marketing and search engine optimization courses. I also have some experience in running a small online business in modern calligraphy. I hope that with my background in psychology, artistic creativity, and newfound digital marketing skills, that I'll be a great addition to your company, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Yep. So on our platform, you can record a video cover letter that appears on the side of your CV. So if employers, so that's one of the few things that employers look at as well when they are screening candidates. So they actually, it's very funny that a lot of job seekers think CV is the most important thing, but when it comes to screening and all these things, right, employers actually, the last thing that employers prefer is the CV. They actually look at video cover letters. They look at how you answer to their questions and any other things that help them be able to decide whether you're a worthwhile candidate before they actually look at your CV. So don't take these kind of things for granted. How you can apply this to other platforms as well. Of course, I am from Hiredly, yes. I am from a job portal, but I mean, I was a job seeker, and of course, I want to talk to you as a job seeker as well. If you're applying to an employer through email, through their official website, even if you didn't ask for a video cover letter, attach it to the email if you're submitting your CV by email. If on LinkedIn, like one of the many other speakers talked about, on LinkedIn, the platform, you can also have some attachment down there. You can attach a video cover letter. LinkedIn is very important. If you're talking to an employer, in hopes of getting a supply chain or logistics internship, or even if you let employers find you, right? All these things will come into play. Having a video cover letter on your LinkedIn, having a good professional summary on your LinkedIn, when you're talking to employers, know a lot about their company and actually differentiate yourself from other people, why they want to join that company. Now, I think I've come to an end on my session already. Now, I just want to show to you a few options that you have here on how you can find positions on our platform, right? So of course, this is our platform, Hiredly. You can take your time to browse here, or you can go to jobs here. You look for specializations, and just for the sake of example, I give supply chain logistics since most of you are from this. And this is how you can browse jobs in supply chain logistics field one by one. If you need to, you can also screen internship positions. But admittedly and transparently, we are currently, this is one of the focus that we have right now after we have just rebranded as a company. Usually we are very focused on digital jobs, like digital related jobs, right? So we still have quite lacking in terms of supply chain logistics position in terms of the job platform. But I just checked our competitors' website and what also. There are a few opportunities over there as well. Again, like, yes, I'm from this company, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can't find a job, right? But what's special about us is this Hiredly X, our headhunters. So if you're a good quality candidate, I'm talking to you, future you, after you have found an internship or whatever, but you want to find a first full-time position, you can use this. Some employers, they are hiring, but they might not be listing it out publicly. Or some employers don't even think that they need a candidate until that they see you're actually a really, really good candidate that could benefit them. So our headhunting team, to engage with them is very simple. When you hear of headhunting, you usually think senior positions. You usually think you're not worthy yet because you're a fresh graduate. But we focus on junior to mid-level mid-management talent over here for headhunting for our Hiredly. So it's very simple. You got your CV. Just click upload now. I don't have my CV here, or you just drop a CV here, and our headhunters will actually see your profile, looks good, we will find a job position for you. If an employer, of course, you will then use your profile to propose it to an employer to convince them to want to hire you. And if they want to hire you, we will get in contact with you to talk to you, whether to explain about the opportunity for you to decide whether you want to connect with the employer or not. Sounds good, right? Better than you just searching for a job yourself. Why not try all aspects? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Of course, if you are actively looking for job positions right now, also that if you want employers to find you beyond through our headhunters, but employers themselves, right? You can come into this section of our website. You check this section, let employers find me. We have created this function here. We know that it's hard to find a job with COVID-19, the COVID-19 world right now. So in case you missed out on applying on some jobs, or like I said, some employers are actually hiring, but they did not list their jobs, they can see your profile. And if everything you've done is correct, like supply chain logistics and all that stuff, you state your intention clearly, right? And the employer sees that, okay, this candidate is relevant for me, they will actually contact you themselves, not through our headhunters. You don't have to find the job, but through the employer themselves. So that's a few options that you have on our platform. Now, that's all the time that I have right now. So perhaps I'll pass it back to Sean.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, oh wow, job hunting has really taken out a new dimension in terms of how people look for a job. as compared to my time, my time is just like signing out resume and just waiting for people to come and approach me. So it's so passive, but it's a really kind of different experience, especially your portal. I think it's definitely going to be very useful for our students who are looking for jobs. Okay, so students, okay, don't hesitate. Please approach them.
Come on our platform, but no pressure. I'm what I shared today, of course, can be applied to many other platforms such as LinkedIn as well. Ultimately, your goal is to find a job. If you find a job portal, great. But if you find it through any platform, great. Great for you.
Correct. So students, don't hesitate. I think Harley is there to help y'all get something. All right. Okay. Thank you, Brian. Once again, thank you. And with that, we have actually come to the very, very last part. We have almost concluded our events today. Okay. And if you have any more questions on our programs or anything on what's the topics we have discussed today, or you have questions with the panel or panelists or the speaker today, feel free to let us know. Okay, if not, you can always approach us via these few options here, this few platform to come talk to us. Thank you. So I think yes, we have no more questions here for all the speakers and the panelists. With that, we can actually conclude our events today. Thank you all once again for spending a Sunday morning with us, and hope you have a good day ahead for the rest of the day. Right, with that, thank you.